to Retraction. I'm Antoine.
I'm Jamie. I have no idea why Antoine's laughing, but we're still here to reverse course through discourse on the pod. As a reminder, don't forget to subscribe, like, share, comment on YouTube, follow us on Twitter, and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, and more.
Yeah. Thanks to the YouTube support. We're newly on YouTube. We're trying out something different, and we appreciate your listens. So thanks for that, YouTubers or the YouTube faithful, the YouTube Bytes. Is that a thing? Can we call that? Is that
YouTube-bonians?
Oh, that's not bad. Yep. YouTube Plutonians.
I'm trying to think. There's like Washingtonians. There's New Jerseyans. There's I don't know. There's Is there a rule to that, or is it just like whatever one the first person comes up with, and that's like, yeah, I'm going to go with that? Or is there
I think
is there a grammatic rule to this?
I'm sure there is, but I'm sure it's also broken. That's the thing. So I'm sure it's just a matter of what you want.
Okay, fair enough. Well, YouTubers, I'll just go with that for now because it's easier
that's pretty,
to say.
That was pretty succinct. That's not so bad.
But yeah, we're new on YouTube, so let us know we're getting right. Let us know we're getting wrong. But more importantly, share your thoughts with us. Hit us up in the comments section.
Episode 95 on the road to 100.
Yeah, 5 away. It's crazy we've been doing this for that long.
And yeah, it definitely makes you. Well, at least it makes me think whenever now that I'm going back and looking at the old episodes. There's a lot of them. 95, 94 episodes.
And it's funny when I scroll through, I'm like, oh, I remember each of these. Like I remember us. I don't remember the whole episode and every little detail, but I remember talking about all of those topics. And it is interesting to look back.
Also, this is episode 96.
Oh my God, Antoine, you got one job. But 96 people
on the road to 100. Well, they'll see it in the title card. It's still just they'll be like, oh, it says 96 here, but this he's saying 95. But
96. There wrong. We go. All right. So you want to jump into something?
I wanted to stay out of something, and I'm definitely hedging a little bit as to whether it makes sense to go into this because the thing is here's
it can only be one of two.
It can only be one thing. Yeah, I know. Well, what do you think it is? What do you think?
Well, it can either be something to do with the election or Elon Musk.
Of course, yes. It's nothing to do with the election. The as momentous as the election happens to be in terms of the red wave ending up being what is it? What are the pundits saying? The red wedding. But
I've heard red wedding. I've heard red stain, red smear, red trickle.
Yeah, I'm sure it's everything. It's everything under the sun. Everything that has to do with red.
I even heard a GOP person say red tide, and I almost spit my drink out because that's clearly the poisonous, like what algae die off or algae plume or something. Yeah. And she didn't really understand, I think, what she was saying. So
well, that's a poor choice of wording. I feel bad for her. So the thing is, it's Elon because it's like politics. It's we'll cover it another day. Well, let's wait. I want to wait and see what happens with the House, and then we'll come back to that. But it's Elon is I'm a little upset because we had the Elon watch. And now everyone's done the Elon watch, which makes sense. I mean, he bought one of the more public-facing companies in the world, and so of course everyone's going to be on his every word. And then he also has to, act a fool on the new platform that he now owns, which of course is you're a narcissistic billionaire. There is nothing more, feeding to that delirium, that psychosis. That a platform that allows you to say something and then have millions of people immediately read what it is you've said, and then every news publication is reposting what it is you've said. I mean, honestly, if someone said you could be President Elon or you could buy Twitter, I'm sure he would still buy Twitter because you're not the reach of president is nowhere near as far-reaching as what you could do on Twitter. So
it sounds like the presidency might be a little cheaper to buy.
Well, that's a good one. Yeah, so there's I don't want to, everyone and their mother is talking about their various angles on what's going on here. The thing is, the reason I wouldn't even put this as an Elon watch, even though it is because to me, Elon buying Twitter is not the issue per se, because to me the issue is that Twitter has always been a private company, and it will always be a private company. And the fact that everyone had basically started to eat the dream, eat uh, the PR of Twitter, that they are this do-gooder, uh, public square, egalitarian space for all, is just pure nonsense, because it's a private company. To me, it feels like I was thinking a lot about this. It feels like social media has basically replaced the malls of the 80s. Like the big malls that everyone, like, as teenagers would go and hang out, and you're like, oh man, I'm at the mall. You could kick back, you're hanging out at the fountain, and you feel like you're free. You can do whatever you want until the security guard comes and
I
escorts.
mean, I hear you.
You know what I'm
And there was
saying?
only one other place that was like that, and I think it might be a better analogy,
Oh,
and that's
sure,
the movie
shoot, if you
theater.
could.
We also get dropped off at the movie theater, and just given the platform and what you're viewing, I feel like the movie theater is a
Well,
is a good one too.
the reason I don't like to use the reason I use the mall is because it's free to enter the mall, whereas you have to pay to enter the movie theater.
Well, you have to pay to get past. Yeah, I
Yeah.
hear you.
So
Gotcha.
the fact that the mall is free,
We never paid. The thing is, we used to hang out at the theater. We never actually went to go see movies. We'd hang out at the steps. There was a big steps. We'd go
Okay.
inside. There were some arcade games before you had to
Oh,
go
okay.
in.
It's a different. Okay. I see
Then there
what
was a
you're
whole
saying.
parking lot, and it was in
Well,
a
not
strip
everyone's
mall.
theater is like that. Not everyone's theater was like that. So I mean,
That's how my theater.
right. Well, I mean that's why you have that nostalgia to put that in, as like, that resonates with you. Just, it's, for a lot of people, a theater was a theater. It's just a place you went into. Didn't have an arcade attached to it. Didn't have a Pizza Hut or whatever you're talking about. It didn't have this place for kids to do Chuck E. Cheese style parties and stuff like that. I'm glad that your theater did, because that sounds awesome. But most people's theaters was just that. It was just a theater. You had to pay to get in, and but the mall, universally, you didn't. You were always able to go into the mall, and that's how the mall gets you. The mall wants you to come in and feel like it's a public space, because then you're walking by all these storefronts, which are the real gotchas. They want you to see you walk in, they want you to buy something from these storefronts by making you feel like it's comfortable, because it's free to walk around and hang out at the mall. That's what social media is today. I mean, that's what the internet is.
That's good.
Basically today, everyone thinks it's free, it's public, and it's not. It's private. It's a private space. The security guard could come up at any moment and ask you to leave without really having to give much of a reason, because it is a private space. And so that's sort of annoying. Like, I know that AOC, Alexandria Cortez, like, eventually, not eventually, but when the deal went through and Elon started acting a fool, she was tweeting about his destruction of this public sphere and all this nonsense. And I was sort of like, I feel like, as a representative, you should know better. You should even be engaging in this way. And again, this is not. I actually like her. I'm not really that critical of her in other aspects. I just felt like in this particular space, if you are a public servant, you above all people should be very much aware and sort of espousing the difference between what are public entities, what are public utilities, and private utilities.
But it's funny you say that, because you've said this to me before, though. When something becomes critical,
correct,
even if it's privately owned, it becomes a utility.
It could. No, I'm saying ideally it would, but we don't treat it that way. We have this neoliberal economic model where even if something is absolutely crucial to our day-to-day lives, it has to remain private, because if the government were to even step in and suggest that maybe it could take it over in order to ensure that it maintains its equal properties to all who need it, that smacks of some sort of communist style Eastern European overreach. It becomes some government overreach to even suggest it. So that's the world we live in, and that's all well and good, but it doesn't mean that we need to pretend that a private entity is actually a public entity when it is a private one. That's the crux of the argument that I'm making, and I think it's important to constantly to remember it, I think it's important to keep saying it, so that people not that people need to wake up or anything. I'm not sitting here on my high horse saying, because we use Twitter. We like using Twitter, but we use it, no, like as it is still a private company that we just happen to have access to. If they kicked us off Twitter, I would not make a stink. I would not try to take to Facebook or something to say, I can't believe these guys kicked me off Twitter. I'm like, it's a private company. They can kick me off Twitter. They can do whatever they want. That's the point. That's the difference. If we as a people, as I'm talking about like the world, like if the people of the world decide that we do need a space where everyone can have equal access and can share their opinions and engage in public discourse outside of a privately owned company, because we want more like better defined rules, or I don't know if the UN owns this thing or not. I mean, that's something that the public needs to decide on, and the government, like the public sector, then needs to create. And then that's something we could support. And it'll be nice. It'll be competition to the private sector in terms of in terms of what Elon can, all these people Elon's laying off right now. Maybe we could get them and they can come work at this public Twitter. And then we could defend it in terms of free speech, and it goes into all the legality of things that we'd expect as citizens who are trying to engage in our modern world. But until we do that, until we decide that that's something that we need, I don't know what everyone's complaining about. He's going to burn this company to the ground.
Because there's no other game in town.
And
that's why.
And the reason there's no other game in town is because everyone gets lulled into this what is it? This
it's just there's no other game in town, because there are other games in town, to be fair. But the reason why they there are, in terms of
on paper, sure.
Yes, but the adoption rate is nowhere near what Twitter is, and it's a joke.
Yeah.
Like, it's just so widely adopted. That's why. Even if the UN was to create something tomorrow, how many people are going to start creating profiles? I mean, maybe some will. But you'll never have maybe that adoption rate.
I'm just saying that's the thing.
Well, you have what? You have Mastodon. You have Truth Socials. Is that Trump's? What's the other one? Tribal Social?
I don't know. I don't know them.
I don't know. There's all these ones that are popping up. I don't know. One knows.
But here's my point.
But that's the whole point. Is like, there is competition out there, but the adoption is just not.
Yeah. No, I get you. Until now. I mean, maybe this is one of those wake up calls where you're like, oh, okay, this monster can literally restrict the thing to where only you have to pay $50 a month in order to even begin tweeting.
I don't know, man. I asked you. I was like, is he capable of taking down Twitter?
No, I don't believe. Here's the thing. I've actually had this conversation with a few others. In fact, one of our more diehard listeners believes that he is capable of taking down Twitter. I know there are enough protections in the private sphere to know that he will be, even if he was close to bankrupting this company, there will be some loophole, some tax loophole, where this man will be able to sell this thing off for parts, make a profit, and have that profit mostly realized in his tax break somehow, and then he will gloat about having made a profit from his takeover of Twitter. I'm cynical enough to believe that no matter what happens here, he will figure out a way to turn this around as a profitable thing for his own ego, his own narcissism. He'll be able to go out and say that because the system will help him. Do I think that this thing could get dismantled and get run into the ground? I mean, look at
well, would it get to that point?
Facebook, I mean, though. That's the thing. I mean, look at the metaverse. That by all, I mean, he is bankrupting his company as well. Is it still afloat? Does it have tons of users? Millions of users
does.
Still? It's like it's almost like these things are, unlike banks, these actually might be too big to fail.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Is he capable? Because you can do some pretty damaging things to it, and I'm just not sure you can do enough in a short enough period of time to cripple it. I think that they're so big and widely adopted that they will absorb it. I think that at least for a short enough period of time, the decision maker, in this case Elon Musk, will make a good call every once in a while and make a good decision, retract something and change course just long enough to rebound. I mean, he's already delayed the $8 thing, right, or something like that. He's kind of put a pause on that.
He puts it. Yeah, because he could do whatever.
But that's what I mean. It's like
amazing how fast you can move.
But that's what I mean. It's like he can make a horrible decision and have all this uproar that spawns competing platforms. But he would have to be so bad at his job to actually run it into the ground, because this thing was widely adopted and built up before it even had a revenue stream. Do you remember
Right.
that when Twitter
Yeah.
never made money and that
Yeah.
was a big thing? And they
Well, I
couldn't
mean, is
figure
that what
out
he's
how.
still saying? Is he still saying they
Well,
don't make money?
I mean, I don't know,
2010?
but yeah, I get it. But I just don't. I'm not. It's not like a challenge. I'm sure that yes, he could bankrupt this company and cripple it, and you'll never hear of Twitter again, and it'll be lost to history. But I just, in reality, I don't know. It's like
I
I think it's
think,
a
yeah.
legitimate question.
Well, I think you're on. I think you're basically onto something. I think that you're following the appropriate line of reasoning here. In that, we do need to get to this point where we're saying, are the current social media platforms, is Google's Chrome as a web browser, are these things too big to fail? Are they so big that you cannot create competition because there's just
Google,
no space for it? I'm just
Google.
saying, we could throw it out. I mean, these are conversations people are having all over the place in terms of the people who are critiquing a lot of the tech industry and the way that they're monopolizing our lives. This is going to be just another another footprint, another footnote in the long journalistic paper of is social media secretly bringing down society. So that's yeah. I mean, it's a mild rant. It's just a hard one to really get my teeth into. It's a hard one for me to come back around and sort of, really want to discuss at length, because it seems so obvious that the fault isn't necessarily with Elon. It is with the system. It is with the system that creates these networks and props them up and basically allows them to be so big and so ubiquitous that there's no other alternative. So then everyone really does lose their mind, because they're like, well, if I can't tweet, if I can't be on Twitter and access if you're a journalist and your primary means of getting either interacting with your audience or getting the what do journalists get? Not sneak peeks. What is it? Their contacts, their
Leads.
their leads. If Twitter's your primary way of getting your leads, I mean, you have nothing else. It's so true. I mean, there's just nowhere else to go.
It's a revenue stream for a lot of people. I mean, it's income.
Absolutely, yeah. In conjunction with other social media platforms. So I'm saying it's so entrenched at this point. I get it. It's like people are like, my livelihood is depending on this, and this man is basically he's messing with my money. That's kind of what it is. Like, this man is messing with my money.
But the thing is, he's messing with the big boys' money too. I mean, it's pretty comical. For $8, you can sink the stock price of a multi-billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah, Eli Lilly, right? They got hit. They got hit hard.
And for all of these influencers who are generating a profit and are generating a ton of content, I wonder what that is in comparison to the ad dollars. Like, what is a celebrity on Twitter? It's their worth to Twitter versus, the Eli Lillys of the world.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't know the books. I don't know.
Look, he's making. I'm sure he's making a lot of enemies right now. A lot of enemies that he hangs out with on the weekend. But again, yeah. The thing is, it's like, can you suffer when you're at the $1 billion level? Can you suffer? Can you really be taken out of it? I don't know. I was going to say one other thing. I mean, the fact that everyone's about Elon, but no one's talking about Jack Dorsey as well. I mean, that's the other thing. It's not like Twitter itself was some sort of saint in all of this, and it's not like Elon did this destructive. What do they call it? Like a corporate takeover. What did they call in the 80s? Like that shark that
a hostile takeover.
Yeah, thank you. Like a hostile takeover. It's not like he came in with a hostile takeover. These guys literally opened the doors and said, "Please have a seat at this table."
It seemed like they were begging. Yeah.
Dorsey just came out, I think, on Sunday or something. There was this like
and did like an apology. Yeah, it was an apology to the people, but that was an apology to Elon.
No, it's an apology to the people, because he still said
no. It was, but it really wasn't. It was to Elon. In my opinion, when I saw that, I understand I understand who it's addressed to, but I also think that he was speaking to an audience of
okay.
one.
All right, hold on. Let me read it, and then so just the listeners can start to they can start to formulate an opinion. He wrote, "Folks at Twitter, past and present, are strong and resilient. They will always find a way, no matter how difficult the moment. I realize many are angry with me." It's like understatement of the year. "I own the responsibility for why everyone is in this situation. I grew the company size too quickly. I apologize for that."
I think that's to Elon.
Think that's just to Elon?
Yeah, because I'm sorry, the people are resilient. He just laid off a ton of people.
Yeah,
and basically he's saying, "I know you guys will be all right."
Yeah,
that's not an apology to people. That is to Elon to make him feel better, to make him not feel guilty, to like whatever. I feel like
I didn't read it that
because if
way.
I
It's
was an
interesting.
employee, I would. That is such a slap in the
Oh
face.
hell, oh yeah, definitely,
I'm
definitely.
sorry.
That
Are you funneling funds from your big payout
Yeah,
to help the people that just got laid off? How sorry
exactly.
are you?
Exactly. Yeah, a true sorry would be, here's a fund that we will continue to pay you some sort of severance for 2-3 years or a year as a result of, not, like he said, out of my own pocket, because I'm a billionaire, and I messed up. I grew this company too quickly, and I hired all of you knowing that this could have been that this was a very tenuous situation that you were coming into. Here, I've created a fund for you all. You guys could go off and paint and do your thing. I will pay you for like a year or something. Yeah, exactly. That's a true. First of all, no one's ever going to do it.
All
No
this was.
corporation's ever. I mean, no CEO's
I
ever going to do that. But yeah,
I think all this was maintaining a business relationship. He wanted to maintain a business relationship with Elon.
Yeah,
I
that's a
just
good
think
take.
that's all
That's
it
a cool
was.
thing. It never, you know what? It never could. It never. To me, I just thought he was trying to deflect some of the hate. But yeah, and that did not occur to me. But now that you've said it, it feels more right. It speaks to my cynical soul. That makes, I'm like, oh, that's more right with the world. You're right. He's publicly acknowledging that he fed Elon what, like a bill of goods about how profitable and amazing Twitter is. I mean, oh no, it's so ridiculous. I mean, it's the point is that the keys to these kingdoms, these vital kingdoms that we have all basically stake claim into and have made these necessary parts of our lives are run by absolute fools. I mean, like what can we what else can we say about this? I mean, the idea of the genius billionaire is just, it should be so dead in the water at this point. I just don't know where we go from here.
Or, I mean, I was thinking about this too, and I feel like it's probably not absolute in either direction, but is this not, is it not, is, like you're saying, he's not a genius billionaire. And what I'm kind of questioning is it just that he doesn't care and nothing impacts him?
Could be. Doesn't,
like, is he just like above it all? And he's like, oh man, like, yeah, that wasn't maybe my best decision, but also who cares?
No, not at all. Because I think that you need to have, I think here's the problem. I think that we define, the genius too succinctly. The genius billionaire is a genius because they've made billions of dollars. They've made money, and that makes you a genius. Being a genius is also understanding the position that your company holds within the world order, and realizing that there is responsibility that needs to be, taken on, like that you are responsible.
Maybe, but also, yeah, but you could just be, yeah, but that's if you care about legacy. Like, he could just be cold-hearted and say, listen, I can't take that responsibility with me after I die. So it's this life and that's it. And I am going to get mine and I don't care about anything else.
That's not a genius. That's what I will come down to. That's not a genius.
Well,
a genius isn't that emotionally insecure, so emotionally bankrupt. You need to have high emotional IQ to be a genius. I will add that in. So you're not a genius. If you are just about, I'm going to get mine, screw the rest of the world, because I mean that's why we're in the situation we're in. That's why climate change is out of control. That's why nothing gets done, is because the world is not run by geniuses. that's the argument I would make, because that's not sustainable. You're a fool. That's a fool. That is, if you were any other situation, if this was a Shakespearean play, if this was a Greek tragedy, that character from a literary point of view would be called a fool. That would be the fool.
I think he'd be the villain, but yeah.
They are often one and the same. That's why they lose, because they're not as smart as the good guys, because the good guys have higher emotional IQ and they understand that actions have consequences. That's the whole point of that hero journey. That's the whole point of the narrative.
No, but the good guys usually need a team. They usually need a journey, just like you just mentioned, in order to become more than they started out as, whereas the genius kind of is that from the get-go.
It's stunted. Yeah, stunted. You don't grow. That's the thing. Yeah, I know. The hero grows and learns and brings people together. Genius, I mean, the villain pulls them apart because he's not a genius.
We'll agree to disagree on what makes up a genius, but
sure,
that's fine. All right. Good Elon update. Good Elon watch.
It's good Elon watch. It's our take. You know what? I feel like that's it's a special take. I feel, but all right. Yeah, go on. What do you got?
I got a quick update PSA. This is a belated update for our audience. If you haven't heard it already, a few episodes back, we covered NASA's DART mission, which set out to punch an asteroid in the face in an attempt to shift its orbit. Some of you may remember. We were targeting right? NASA was targeting to shave off 10 minutes off of the asteroid's orbit, which could be the difference between a near miss and a direct impact on Earth. Well, scientists shaved off 32 minutes, 3 times as much as they had aimed for. So nice job, NASA. Thank you for one-upping the dinosaurs. They may have roamed the Earth, but we do space stuff. So there you go.
And I will say, and I will say that you're right. NASA is we, because they're public.
Yeah.
So they are. So we are doing this. We're taxpayers. We're funding these missions.
I just felt a little guilty because but like they did the work, right?
I mean, in this particular issue, we can't all do everything. I mean,
it's like having a team at work and someone does all the work on your team, and you're like, and it's like, yeah, you're all a team, but like they did it. Give them the credit.
I mean, sure. Still a we. Still, right. Well, it's different because again, it's a private entity. Different.
I got a story for you now.
Yeah.
I hope maybe it's for you. Are you familiar with? And I apologize. I apologize if I'm not saying this right because I've never said it out loud. I've never actually seen it until today. Petabit. It's a bit, like a bit of data. Petabit.
Oh, no.
You ever heard of it? Okay. So I wasn't familiar with this, and Antoine isn't. And for our audience who may or may not be, your average home internet is probably a few hundred megabits per second. 1 petabit equals 1,000 terabits, which is equal to 1,000,000 gigabits, which is equal to a quadrillion bits of data. And this actually led me to learn that there's a difference between bytes and bits. And I assume I'm probably late to this party, and Antoine's laughing. So
that's a little late.
That's fine.
Yeah. Most people know that.
I don't know. Hey, don't disparage anyone. You don't know that.
Sorry.
I heard of bits and bytes, but I never thought about it, to be honest. But apparently 8 bits are 1 byte. 8 bits equal 1 byte. So Antoine's a gamer. I'm sure he's very familiar with bits and bytes. So most of us are familiar with bytes. Like bytes, I've only heard of 8-bit when it was like gaming systems when I was a child. Since then, I haven't really heard of bits.
Yeah,
but I've heard
you had a Nintendo, so you're right. No, it's a Sega.
Right.
Sega
16-bit, 32-bit, all these bits. I don't know what they were.
I think was 16, but yeah.
Yeah. So, but I've heard of bytes more recently, and so have you listeners and watchers. You buy external hard drives, and I think 2 terabytes is like the popular amount of space in a hard drive today. So 1 petabit equals 125 terabytes. Just to put that into perspective, which is roughly the global internet bandwidth. Okay. And why I'm telling you all of this is because I want everyone to appreciate a new chip that might just change everything. It's called an optical chip. Have you heard of this?
No, not at all.
Okay. So in May, this optical chip did 1 petabit per second, which remember is 125 terabytes.
That's crazy.
More recently, it did 1.84 petabits per second. That's 20 times faster than the upcoming upgrade to the scientific network that NASA uses, and twice the global internet traffic per second.
I really can't believe I've never heard of this.
Nature Photonics published it, so it's for real.
Okay.
So a new chip can transmit almost twice the traffic of the internet, global internet. That's crazy, per second.
Well, I'm sure you'll get to it.
This is the way that it works.
Yeah.
Putting it as simply as I can, a laser beam hits a comb-shaped chip that splits the light into hundreds of colors, and then we encode data into those colors. Now, the freaky part, right? We talked about the 1.84, which is 125 terabytes, for those of you that buy external hard drives. The freaky part here, researchers claim this design can reach speeds up to 100 petabytes per second. That's 12,500 terabytes per second. I don't have any other context to put that in, but that is a lot of data per second. And so my question is, what in the world will this unlock for us? Is this
who made this though? Like what is did you mention that? Who is behind this chip?
So there are probably a few schools behind this. I can tell you that the researchers from the University of Denmark and Chalmers University of Technology have done this, and probably some others that I'm just not able
That's
to
fine. That's
reference.
fine. I mean, I guess it's sort of like how is it going to be implemented? Like who is going to take charge of this? I mean, where
Oh, yeah, who that's, this just happened in
right?
May, and then what did I say later? Later on
Yeah.
this year.
Okay.
So this is all
Too
very,
early.
very
Too early to tell.
but the idea of 12, almost 13,000 terabytes per second being processed, when less than 2 terabytes or less than 2 petabits is 20 times faster than the best NASA can do in its upgrade that hasn't even been released yet.
Yeah.
Which is pretty phenomenal. So I asked myself, what is this going to do? And I came up with like 2 things. One is this what's needed to unlock a truly customized life in the way that we've always thought about? I mean, that level of data processing, clearly you have to have things that can use it, house it, and implement it. But is this, personalized services like personalized healthcare? Predilections can be learned for things like voting, right? Like your behaviors. Tasks can be seamlessly automated. We have all these bots and stuff in our homes now today, but truly like, doing the things that you don't want to be bothered doing, but doing them seamlessly in a way where you just don't even see them being done anymore. Getting your chores done without disrupting you in any way. Is it preferences pre-applied to everyday interactions that you have, so you don't really have to explain yourself, or your expectations are met all the time? Is it information fed instantly to you about your environment at will, like an augmented reality, but in a way that we can't even imagine right now? Like, what do you do with this level of processing? And then the other place my head went to was, is this the key ingredient to sentient AI? Also, side note, I've heard sentient pronounced 2 different ways, so I had to look it up.
No way.
Yeah, sentient and sentient.
Oh, yes, sentient. Yeah,
right.
That's fair. Yeah,
and
fair.
so sentient is British, sentient is American.
Ugh.
And I've only ever said
I only use sentient.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's America trying to make fetch happen.
Because I've heard sentient from like scientists.
I've heard sentient. Yeah, you're right, but I feel like it's an older
I was watching
word.
some documentary stuff, and I'm like, I feel foolish because I know at least on this pod I've said sentient several times.
But I feel like sentient was like, if you watched a movie, I feel like Short Circuit probably used the word sentient. Like, I feel it was something that was in the 80s
before we were like really globalized and like worldly.
Yeah, that's I just don't. I've never heard of a person like, again, it didn't even occur to me. You have no British leanings. You're not affiliated with the.
No, I said that
us.
before I was ever in contact with anyone in Britain. It
doesn't feel. It's not one of those off-putting like, oh wow, why do you say rubbish instead of trash? It's more of like a if someone said sentient, I feel like that would be a pause. I feel like I would pause on that.
Combine the two.
Okay, that's interesting way to say that. But it's sentient.
So that aside, I didn't want to derail us too much, but like side note, because it kind of weighed on my insecurity.
Since we're out here, I think that this is probably going to be momentous for the for internet porn. I think that they'll probably get 8K out of that.
How come every time I bring up some type of digital advancement, that's your reaction? What am I supposed
because
to say?
That's probably
what am I supposed to say to that?
Because I was trying to think of what an average person is going to be doing with that, and I was just like,
I can't help but think of what's his face from The Big Lebowski, the dude that's running the smut industry, Jackie Treehorn, when he's like, everything's going to go virtual.
Yeah.
And then the dude's like, I still do it manually or whatever.
Yeah. There's something to that too, because I think that the porn industry is often at the forefront of a lot of technologies, which people don't fully acknowledge a lot. But
so you think this technology at its infancy, that's 20 times better than what NASA can do? That's the early adopter. Like, give me a break. It's a military application. There's other things that are going to happen before.
I think that you shouldn't be so derisive. I think that you're making some missteps here. I wouldn't be surprised.
It's gonna be the programmer who's designing Sid 6.7, but he makes the girl first.
I'm just saying.
Do you know what that's from?
No, I can't remember. That's
Virtuosity, Denzel Washington, Russell Crowe.
Yeah, all right.
No. That's a good movie. I mean,
all
it's a
right,
good
I'm
movie
sure
when
it's
I saw
good.
it.
It just
You know, you don't. Do you know it?
I know it. I've heard of it. I don't remember it. I don't think I've seen it personally.
That's a shame.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
Yeah, but anyway, I mean, I'm sure it'll do other things. I'm just saying. I mean, from a
or the
human
Matrix,
being-
how they were working on the Matrix, but that one guy makes the girl in the red dress.
Oh yeah. I remember that. Yeah.
So there you go. A more recent reference for Antoine.
Yeah, sure. By recent, you mean 1999?
Yeah,
sure. I mean, it probably will be the leap to 8K watching videos. So YouTube will take advantage of that, I'm sure.
All right. So Antoine's not moving on from this angle. Clearly, this
I'm trying to
is
think
like
of
the
a commercial
start and end.
application. I don't know.
This is the start
What
and
else are we
end to
gonna-
this.
I mean,
Dream
things are
big,
so-
Antoine. Dream
that is
big.
big. 8K is big. 8K is everything. It's gonna
It's
usher
like they're in
the
the room
TV
with
maker.
you.
I'm trying to think. I mean, it's will it? I mean, this is obviously landlines we're talking. I mean, will this translate into cellular? Because I mean, that's the in terms of like everyone's day-to-day life, people always talk about, if cell service can get to that instantaneous point, that's really going to free us. I mean, that's going to free a lot of people. Not free us. I don't know what that even means, to free us. I just know that people talk about that being a massive, like a next evolution point in terms of data transfers and information and what people can start doing. So I don't know. I'm thinking really small here because because it has to have commercial. If it doesn't have commercial application, I don't know where.
I think cell phones will get faster.
I'm just saying.
All right, here's another question.
Give me an example.
The last question. I got nothing. The last question I have on this one for you, because I don't know a lot about these other things, is how do you think this compares, competes, whatever it may be, precedes something like quantum computing, or even when I was reading about this stuff, graphene chips, which I don't know anything about. I don't know if you're familiar with these. Is this all like, are these competitors? Or like, what is all this?
Yeah, I can't answer that. I can't answer that with any assurity. I think I know some people who could answer that, but I personally at this moment can't answer that.
All right. So listeners, this is your time to chime in.
Yeah.
Hit us up on YouTube, Twitter, any one of those platforms that we're on, and just let us know your thoughts, because I'm really curious to see how this optical chip fits in with quantum computing and graphene chips, which are probably the next thing that consumers will see. Or maybe I misread that. So, correct us, throw us a bone, let us know your thoughts.
I wonder, does it talk about how much power it takes, like the power consumption?
No, it didn't get into that. There was a lot of like math and mathematical tools, and if anyone knows me, they know I'm not a math dude. So I kind of just glossed over that.
We're all math people. We do math every day.
Yeah. All right. I'll try and tell someone that.
I don't want to. Yeah, I think in my heart, I feel like this is going to be such a huge revolution. I just that it's just things are just so bad. It's like cynical. I just don't know. I'm like, is a corporation going to come in and buy up the properties of this and then just lock it behind a wall and of doing the most generically ridiculous thing? Just I don't know, makes it easier for kids to buy candy. Just something. You're like, well, all this because here's what this is what I'm going to say.
Candy.
I'm just gonna say this right now. This is my frustration with our world. No matter how many advancements we come up with, the fact that you could have done work for the fact the internet's been around forever and has gotten fast enough that you're basically the same broadband, the same internet you're using in your house is the same corporate internet you've got in the office, and it took a global pandemic and millions of people to die for anyone to start saying, hey, maybe we don't need to actually work in this space. Maybe we don't all need to sit on a computer next to one another in order to get work done because everyone has a computer at home. So I'm going to be really cynical. I'm like, you think this is going to
So it'll change nothing.
Work week? I'm just saying, do you think this is going to reduce the work week or the work day? It's the same 8 hours and 5 days it was in 1952. No matter how many advancements we get, the world doesn't change. So I'm like, how are you going to get me excited about this? You're like, this is going to change everything. I mean, like, nothing changes everything. Nothing.
Well, the world has changed since the early industrial age. You're right in that we're still expected to work factory hours, but there have been advancements in various disciplines that have benefited humanity.
Yeah.
So
you don't have to go to a kiosk to buy porn from a magazine. I mean, now it's online. I mean, as far as the world is concerned. I mean, I feel like that's the hugest advancement we've gotten out of all this technology. I mean, I'm just calling a spade, people. I mean, you still got to go to work. I don't know. I'm not feeling it. I'm not sold that advancements are
Maybe
doing
this will
much.
be the start of the AIs that we can build that'll go to work for us.
Sure, maybe. You'll still have to be there to monitor it, even though it's doing its thing automatically. You still have to put in the 8 hours to watch it do its thing, because otherwise, what would people do?
Maybe it could
What?
monitor our subconscious. Do you think you could communicate with the machine without actively communicating with the machine, but it's still you?
Yeah. Well, I mean, don't we with the prosthetics? Oh, that could be a place where it could. Don't they have the where you do like a brain map, and it could help guide a prosthetic?
Yeah,
They've
like you
done
can.
research on that.
They do things where I guess it's the electrical signals or whatever
Yeah,
it may be, or mapping
yeah,
your brain. I don't know if it's following your eye, but
mhm,
I don't know which technique people are using, but I've
yeah.
seen it where, yeah, they can
Yeah,
open,
it's probably the
close,
eye. Yeah, it's
grasp
probably the eye.
things,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. So yeah, no, but it's really
It could
fascinating.
help there. That could be awesome. That'd be really cool to get us to that next level. Get us that cyberpunk, integration of machine limbs. People
All
cutting
right.
off their own arms just to get that arm gun.
So porn and prosthetics is where Antoine thinks the future is. That's, you
Well,
know what? Hey,
where's the? I
that's
mean, right. I mean, that's kind of where we are right
that's
now.
not a bad place. I'm not going to argue against it. I'm not going to be the one that takes the position against that. So there, I'll just leave it there.
Sure.
You have a topic, I have others.
Yeah. You move on, because why not? You move on. You what do you got? What's next?
All right, Antoine. The saga continues. We have a wolf update.
Wu Tang. Oh no, that's not what we were saying. Sorry.
But you're gonna do the
36
wolf update.
chambers.
The wolf update. You're not gonna do your wolf update.
Oh, I gotcha. Yeah. It's a woof update.
It's a subtle update. So it's a wolf update, folks. For the new YouTube watchers, we do follow the evolution of treatment of wolves in this country. It is a saga. It is ongoing. They suffer a lot of abuses at the hands of individuals and organizations and agencies in government. So we like to try and raise awareness about this, because every predator is a part of the ecosystem and we need them. So conservation groups are suing Montana, alleging the state's wolf hunting and trapping policies violate multiple laws and provisions in the state's constitution. And as I said, we've been covering this systemic abuse of the wolf in this country for a couple of years now. And yet here's another sad development. But folks, it doesn't have to continue, right? And this one especially, we can do something about this, or the people of Montana can, at least. So much of the story plays off of our last update, where we discussed how the government's flawed approach to wolf management was going. So sit back and listen to that episode if you can. But what has changed here? Well, what hasn't changed is the slaughter of wolves motivated by politics. But what's new is that it's Montana in the news now, which generally hasn't been in the news. And it's the new hunting season coming up. Well, actually, it's in motion, but there's another milestone where you're allowed to trap them or something, and that starts Thanksgiving. So Montana is using an outdated, scientifically inept wolf management plan. We covered this in the last episode, but before, it was being used in southern states. Ironically, the proponents of change in the southern states, the activists, the conservationists, were pointing to the northern states to say, this is how we should be doing it. But now it looks like the northern states have started to adopt this southern flawed approach. So the plan will authorize the killing of 456 wolves this coming winter, which equates to about 40% of the state's wolf population, which is a lot. 40%. That's freaking crazy. The legal complaint states that this action violates the Montana Constitution and the Montana Administrative Procedure Act, as well as the public trust doctrine, a legal principle that recognizes the government must protect and maintain certain natural and cultural resources for the people. So on this pod, like I said, we try to raise awareness of the importance of ecosystems and the continued demonization of predators like the wolf. This practice, I repeat, is not putting food on the table. It is not making game populations healthier. It is not protecting livestock. It is a misguided slaughter to pacify a mob and cower to industry. We need to stop thinking about wolves as a pest, as something to be blamed. They are part of the ecosystem. They too serve a purpose.
Jamie, let them know. Let them know. Preach it.
There's that. Anyway,
Nice. Sounds good.
I don't know if you have anything to add to that, but that's the PSA.
I mean, not really, because you covered it. There's not much else to say. I mean, that's the thing, is that until people realize, or until the science behind how wolves operate and what they really are to our ecosystem prevails, you will always have the demonization of the Little Red Riding Hood, Three Little Pigs, wolf destroys everything, wolf eats everything, kind of scenario going on. Huntsman, needs to kill the wolf. I'm just that's what I can add to it. That's my little part.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Wolf
I mean, what are we gonna do?
Clothing, cried wolf. There's all of this old stories about wolves, and I'm sure as a predator, it was an adversary. It was something that you had to deal with. But this is not then. We are different. It's just completely different. We have so much technology, and instead of using that technology to balance out the ecosystem, we tag them on collars, hack that, use radio telemetry to hunt them down using the collars we tagged on them for conservation, so you could pinpoint their location, hop in a helicopter and shoot them from the air.
Yeah.
And you may have a wolf on your property one day, and then you, as a person, go out and slaughter 20 of them. The responses are so disproportional. And then even those responses are called into question because it's never really proven whether or not something is a wolf attack, because a lot of the times the bite marks are just chalked up to that. There's not enough research done. It could have been a coyote. It could have been any number of things. So there, and again, go back to our previous episode, and honestly, episodes before that, this has been an ongoing saga. There's just a ton there to sink your teeth into.
Yeah. It's like Beauty and the Beast at the end when Gaston's like, kill the beast. Beast is nice. Beast can turn around. It's not the creature you should fear.
That's the reference you're gonna pull out?
When you were throwing out old references, I thought that this might be helpful. I thought it would give some imagery. Everyone's got that little image of, what's the song? They're like, kill the beast. Do 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 do. Kill the beast. Do do do.
It's like the worst song of that movie.
It really is.
Honestly, I didn't even I vaguely remember that song. Maybe it's probably, and I don't know which one's worse, that or Scar's song from Lion King.
I love Scar's song. Scar's song is a good song.
Are you serious?
It's a good song.
You are party of one on that
one. Something is something.
Be prepared.
Be prepared. I love that
song. Hard. You don't even know it. It's so bad. You didn't even know the song. That is one of the worst villain songs ever. No, that is a horrible villain song.
I love it.
Anyway, I have a short one, but it's just for you.
Okay, shoot. We round out the end of the show that way.
Neil deGrasse Tyson.
Okay.
Dropped a truth bomb on Twitter earlier this month, and I want your thoughts on it. I want you to take us home.
Okay.
His quote: politicians lie to us because deep down, we want them to. It's hard for them to get elected when they tell the truth, unquote.
Ah, Neil. Stick to the science, buddy. No. I mean, look, he's a smart guy. It could be both. It could be two things can be true. I do believe that it's true in part, but I mean, let's not pretend like the special interest that let's not pretend that there's a coffer of gold at the end of the rainbow that gets rewarded to you for lying. Let's not just make it out that these people are these people are otherwise saintly. It's just that the people can't handle the truth. What's the end of a few good men? It's not a you can't handle the truth situation that we're talking about here, and I don't like it. That's the thing. I don't. But that's
interesting. So do you think that's what he means? Or do you think it
feels like he's putting the onus back on the people, which I don't like. I don't think that's right.
I thought it was more of if you were to ask anyone who buys into an ideology, let's just take the Republican Party, because why are we messing around? Let's just take Republicans.
Okay.
You ask an individual what they think in a very specific situation. I have found that a lot of the times it is at odds with how they would apply that same logic to a broader topic that doesn't impact them directly, or it doesn't put them in the situation to have to deal with it directly. And so I thought that what he was kind of hinting at was, give me an excuse to not have to deal with the reality. Lie to me. Tell me it's okay. Tell me I can think this way so that I don't have to change, even though it hurts other people. Just tell me it's okay, and I will believe you and follow you. Even though I
Yeah,
know,
but I
even though
don't.
I know, even though my kids or my neighbor or my mom or my whoever it is, someone pointed it out to me, and it's in the back of my head that this is probably a thing, but I'm just going to choose to ignore it as long as I find someone of authority and stature to tell me it's okay.
Okay, so what do you think? If so you're reading his tweet that way, and the thing is, we actually agree. I do think that he is saying that. I think that's where he is wrong. But
Okay, that's
if
interesting.
if you're, I guess what is the solution in that world? In the world where you blame the people.
Education,
Oh,
education,
of course, of
because
course.
they think
So in that
that no,
case,
because they
yeah.
think that by admitting this, it is somehow detrimental to them and will not improve their situation.
My, my
They
point
think that
is,
someone else will be helped first and they will have to wait even longer,
yeah.
or that their happiness will be somehow dampened.
And education is a generational solution. So you're basically already saying all is lost in that
Well, it
scenario.
could be
If it is
situational too, though.
true,
I think that the collective intellectual baseline of the nation is a multi-generational issue that needs to be
sure.
addressed. That is long
I
term.
don't. I
But I
don't. We
think
agree.
that
We both agree on that.
but I think that when you're talking about lie to me so that I don't have to feel bad, I think that those are usually very pointed at specific issues that once you educate someone on that issue, which is a very difficult thing to do in mass, but it is narrow in the sense of what you're trying to get across. I think that doesn't have, I don't think that that can happen necessarily in school other than instilling critical thinking skills, but I think that that can be addressed now. You just have to pick your battles. And I think that there are so many battles now and there is no conductor,
Yeah,
that it just doesn't happen that way.
I
But
get.
I think you could, okay, go ahead.
Oh, I'm just saying. You're not wrong. The thing is, it's not like he's 100% wrong. I just think that that's like 15% of the issue. So
No, that's
to
fair. That's fair.
so
I
to
mean, that's
like
fair. That's fair.
to make a tweet about it as if it's it's gonna fix things, like, oh man, you people need to wake up and and stop asking these politicians to lie to you. My point is that the politicians aren't lying to people because they feel that people want to be lied to. They're lying to people because there is a direct incentive to lie to people. Like, it's not like they're not doing
Yeah,
it
but
to
there's
make people
but that
feel
can be
better.
true. Both of those things can be true too, though,
They both are true.
because they
That's what
can
I'm
be
saying.
incentivized to lie to
I would say it's
people
a 75
because
25
they
scenario here.
they can
85
be
15.
they like systemic racism, right? Take
Sure.
that for instance, right? This is a thing that certain communities knew about forever, and that
Mhm.
is also a thing that certain communities did not know about forever.
Correct.
And with the
It's
ones that
because
didn't know,
their politicians were lying to them.
yes,
Yeah.
yes, right?
Yeah.
Everyone, school systems, everything.
Yeah.
Like it's just sheltered
Yeah.
from this horrendous, heinous truth.
Yeah. But it's not
And
because they didn't think they could deal with it. It's because it was
no, 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 no.
profitable to do so.
But now that we're in the situation and these people have gone through their lives thinking a certain way, it
Right.
is so much easier to allow them to continue thinking that way. And for someone to say, don't make me change this about me, or don't make me admit, them in a very uneducated way may think by admitting that the thing that they've been a part of for so long has done so much harm that that somehow implies guilt.
And
I
yeah,
think
so
there's
what?
a
It does. Yeah. I'm
but
just trying to.
built in a very guilt in a very intentional way, not like guilt by association or guilt by contributing to something and not knowing what it was. Like you have to give people a chance to return. And I think that what these people are doing by not educating them is saying, you can't return. This is the way. And I'll tell you how you can keep going this way.
But it's not because they care about the people or
No, that's not, I don't know where that's not coming
yeah.
into play here.
Okay.
I'm not saying that at all. You
Okay.
have the politicians and
Yeah.
you have the messengers
Yeah.
who got their own agenda and you
Yeah.
just want to stay in power and make
Right.
money.
Right.
And then you have the other people who are just caught between that pressure and then the pressure, the other side of the pressure of the whole system that was set up to make them think that way in the first place.
Right.
And there's nothing to alleviate either side of that pressure. And so it is easier for them, even though they may know that there is a kernel of truth that what they think is wrong, it is easier for them to just, ignorance is bliss, out of sight, out of mind. Just go with the flow.
Okay, that's fine. But I guess that's where there's the disconnect for me. This is the issue I'm having. it's fine if people do not want to own up to the realities of their world. If the politician is a person who has been elected out of that group, and so they are equally ignorant, then then there is no lie to be told, because that politician is as ignorant as the people who've elected him. So or her
I don't think
them.
they're ignorant, though. I don't think the politicians are ignorant.
I don't either. That's what I'm trying. Yeah. That's what I'm getting at. They're not. And so my point is just to say that they're just perpetuating the lie because it's what people want to hear. I just think it's pure nonsense, because
it's a path of least resistance. I can tell you exactly what you want to hear based on what you already do today, which is zero, which is no lift on your end. Mm-hmm. And then we can continue down this merry way and you're fine. Or I can tell you the hard truth, and that is going to be disruptive to you personally, but it's going to help a lot of other people.
And that would be the path that a politician would naturally want to go down. I mean, even if because you see that now. But
it's not true, because it's not how it works. Like
I know, because you will not be reelected. I get that, but it's not just about.
Philosophically, I agree with you. I am not, listen, dude, I don't want to be, listen, we're on air. Like, I am not trying to be the counter argument here. What I'm saying is, that's how
you're not trying to defend little Rubio.
That's how it works. That's what they're doing. Like, it's working. Like, you can have your philosophy on it, but then it's the real world. Like, they are lying. People aren't.
They're lying to you. Yeah.
People are buying into the lie,
but that's because they
do hear the truth.
Doing so.
They do hear, but but normal people don't profit.
No, normal people don't. I'm saying for the politician, my point is the politician, it's more than just, can I get reelected? That's I feel like that's such a simplification that is just not the way that politics actually works in this country. It's not about whether you're going to be, I mean, yes, of course you want to get reelected, but there are just so many other forces that help in terms of reelection that are not just about your constituents. So it's not a one-to-one relationship where it's like, if I don't appease my constituents, I won't get reelected. You can piss off a large number of your constituents, but depending on how either you've been able to get some sort of gerrymandering into the region.
Yeah, but that's the real constituents. Don't conflate all of the constituents, the constituents versus who's gerrymandered into actually getting them reelected. They will pander to them. They do pander to them. That's why you have these ridiculous statements they're saying that they don't actually believe.
All right, here, how about this? If there were forces that promoted truth over pandering, in terms of if a politician knew they would get more money to run by telling the truth over pandering, then that's where I would say they would definitely pick the truth, because it's more lucrative to tell the truth in that scenario. So they will forsake the pandering, even if the pandering would get more people, just like, without donating, just more people to go to the polls ideally and vote for you.
Yeah, but
you see what I'm saying?
Yes, but there, of course, but there isn't. There isn't money in it for the Republicans to have more people vote. So they tell lies about why they're not doing voter suppression things.
Right.
And that allows them to stay in power. And to think, and for their constituents to think that all this time they've been propping up, contributing to, supporting voter suppression is a hard pill to swallow. So they just choose to ignore that and believe the lie. But if you were to sit down with them and say, like, in a galaxy a long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away, there were these two things, and this happened, they would agree with the voter suppression tactics being wrong. But then when you apply it to their scenario, they do not agree. Like, these are actual conversations that I've had with people, and I'm like, I cannot believe you can't remove yourself from this and see it for what it is. And so I agree with you that Neil deGrasse Tyson is not absolutely right, and he is not encapsulating the entire scenario, and that's very hard to do anyway. But I do want to say that I get what he's saying. Now, maybe, you're bringing up a lot of good points, and I'm not like
he's not wrong,
or against or countering it. Yeah, it's like
he's not wrong. It's just again, it's the weight. It's the weight of the rightness that we're questioning. That's the issue.
So out of all the things he could have said, that's probably not the one you would emphasize.
That's sort of where I would go. In this time, in the way that both parties have conducted themselves in terms of when we look at gerrymandering or taking jobs after office at various think tanks and becoming lobbyists themselves and going back into to grease the wheels for various legislation that has nothing to do with what people actually want. I feel with all that going on, with that being like the biggest thing of what's going on, to then be like, to then come out and say, you people who have who live paycheck to paycheck, have no savings, have no securities in this country, are scared for the future of your children and your livelihood and all these things because nothing is assured to you. It's your fault. Like, to wag the finger on those people. I'm like, come on. I mean, is it true? What you're saying, is that true? Absolutely. We both we've come to that conclusion. It's the weight. It's attacking the 15%.
But I think you said two different things there. I think you said, so I agree with you that the weight of it, right?
Yeah.
The weight of it is maybe, and that's really subjective. Like, I'm not going to critique Neil deGrasse Tyson for deciding to emphasize a smaller truth.
Yeah. Well,
right?
that's what let's call it what it is. I mean, that's the argument we're talking about here.
So we agree.
It's highlighting a smaller truth.
I'm not countering you. We just we agree on it, but you just don't think this is the thing he should have highlighted. And I guess, but what you're also saying is it isn't on the people. And I think, again, both things can be true. The politicians should not be lying. Yeah. But the people shouldn't be believing the lies when they have the information to dispel them. And that is on them. Like that, like, you cannot, and I know that you are a big proponent of not saying that the onus is on the people. But like, there is some onus on the people, and you need critical thinking skills, and you cannot just consume and agree with everything that you're told. I mean, that is ignorance. That is ignorance.
I agree. I think that my position is in agreement. I think that everything I've said has not refuted to say that it is absolutely 0% responsibility having to do with the populace. The population, we allow this to continue. We through various means of whether complacency, apathy, or ignorance, allow this Mickey Mouse circus to continue, knowing that there's a better way, and knowing that there are other much bigger things coming down the pipe that we need to be worrying about, and we choose not to. We choose to continue in this. So there's definitely a percentage on it. I mean, on us, no doubt about that. But it's just, again, it's how much of that percentage is on us.
I hear you. And again,
and for celebrities to be coming out wagging their fingers, from their dudes like a millionaire, but that's what I'm saying. Like, multi-millionaires coming out on Twitter being like, you guys need to step up your game. You need to, I know you just got off your 18-hour shift and your kids are sick, so they can't go to daycare. You're trying to figure out how you're going to take a sick day because you don't really have that many more sick days in order to take care of them, because you got to put food on the table. You got to go back to work. I know I got millions of dollars, but I'm going to tweet this at you. You're like, you need to get in there, get in the fight, people. I mean, come on now. I mean, that's where I also come out.
What I will say, which I think is in agreement with you, and a little bit of self-pity on behalf of all of us here, is that I don't know how we can expect the majority of the population to act, behave, think any better when we don't give them the tools and the nurturing that leads to that. And
it's purposeful, though.
Yeah,
that's part of it. It's purposeful.
If you don't properly fund K through 12, STEM, civics, history, right? If you don't do all of that and teach them continue learning and critical thinking, then what do we expect? And so it is society to blame. And I think you'll probably check me there and say, well, it's not all on us, but like society as a whole, in the most royal way, the elite, the poor, everyone in between, like society as a whole, if we do not treat education like the critical national security issue that it is, and make sure that everyone is highly educated, the superb education, the highest education. I don't understand why we wouldn't do that across the board, regardless of income, regardless of property taxes. I don't know how we can ever expect anything different.
I mean, I college free is nothing. I think you should be paying people to go back to school. You should be paying people to continue furthering their education and to pursue interest. I think that's how you create the kind of population that we all dream of, that educated, engaged, democratic. That's how you create a democracy, by having an engaged and educated population. So it behooves us to pay people to continue educating themselves. The fact that we are anti-education tells you everything you need to know about where politicians lie and how they want the path of least resistance from the population, and will
would it be like
forces in order to continue to pacify the population so that they do not have the power or the time to really look at these issues and instead just listen to them to the news or watch, Fox when they come home from work and they're dog tired. That's my point. That's my point where I come at it from like Neil wagging his finger. It's sort of like the system makes people ignorant because that is the most profitable way to govern.
That is a really interesting point. Paying people to further their education and broaden their horizons, and in doing so, improving our economy.
Yeah.
Do you think it is a function of unemployment? Is that kind of how you should look at it, where it's voluntary that you would leave, but you have to go get educated in the process, and we'll pay for that in the form of some type of unemployment check?
I mean, we have to also look at education. We can talk. It should be all encompassing. If you want to go and do uh, colonialism, African liberation, in like the 1980s or something, you should be allowed to do that. But also, if you want to go and retrain to be a welder or something very you want to just change your career and do, it's just about job training, that's fine too. We should pay people to do either or. My point is that the money and the funds should be available to all. And the thing is, we can look to other countries. I mean, I hate bringing up Scandinavia. I really do. I'm so tired of being the liberals who talk about the beautiful Scandinavian state or what have you. They do a lot of things wrong, all right, and it's not open to everybody. They, the migrant situation, you can look to that in terms of not being fair to all. But at the end of the day, they do. You could go back to school if you want to. If you wanted to quit tomorrow, if you were in Denmark, they would pay you to go back to school. That's in the system. So we have systems where we can look to that where that money comes from, what that looks like. There are templates that we can derive from, and we could probably make it better. That's the thing. We can American exceptionalism it and make it
be newer, right? We have the benefit.
Yeah.
We have the benefit of it not being a mature system that we can. I'm just
saying it doesn't bankrupt those countries. That's what I'm trying to say. At the end of the day, when people talk about, oh my God, well, that's going to bankrupt us, wasting all this money, setting, it doesn't bankrupt those countries. We maybe could just spend a little less on the military. I don't know. I know that's taboo, but.
We wouldn't have to fight so many wars if we were smarter.
There could be that too. You might be able to see a war for what it is, which is a grab, a cash. Yeah, what is it? Not a cash grab, not a dash grab, mad grab for resources.
We could just probably have more minds thinking about how to head it off.
Yeah, sure.
Clever solutions.
Sure. However we want to see it. But yeah, that's definitely one of the initiatives that should be on the progressive agenda if the progressives are truly progressive. So
interesting. All right.
If you're listening, AOC, here's another idea for you. Not defending Twitter to be a public sphere, but maybe, I don't know, paying people to go to school. That might be nice.
There you go, guys.
There you go.
Congress, get on it.
Yeah, do something for people, not just executive orders that get struck down in court.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's all the topics I have.
Yeah, well, that's good. I mean, that's a good episode. I love it. Jamie, where can they find us?
Guys, girls, you can find us on Twitter at Retraction Media. Funny enough, it's the same handle on YouTube at Retraction Media. You can watch us there. Subscribe, like, share, comments. Also subscribe on Apple, Spotify, Google, Amazon, Audible, and so many more. Wherever you want to listen to us, we're there. So send us comments.
Up from the 36 chambers. Retraction out. Wu-Tang. Wu-Tang.